Welcome to Beyond the Title, a podcast where we interview college deans from the University of Cincinnati. My name is Hayden. Our guest today is not a dean, but will be our co-host for the rest of the series, the current interim provost of UC, Dr. John Widener.
Thank you, Hayden.
Our topics today range from John Widener's experiences as a college student to his decision to become the interim provost and much more. There are 4 rounds of questions, with the first a rapid-fire warm-up round. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
All right. Here we go. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Morning or night?
Morning?
Cats or dogs?
Dogs. All right, we done? That was easy.
What's your go-to hype song before a big meeting or an event?
Oh, goodness. I don't know, but when I get on a plane, I'm a John Denver guy all the way. I just love listening to his songs. I don't know if I necessarily hype up for him or relax to him, but
What's your favorite spot on campus?
I shouldn't say my office, should I? Obviously
I mean, if it's your favorite spot, it's your favorite spot.
Well, I do like walking through CCM. I'm always impressed with this place.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best place to grab a bite to eat on or around campus?
Yeah, I don't eat on campus much. Like, I'm in my office quite a bit.
Yeah.
But as far as in Cincinnati, we love Rosie's. It's across from our apartment, so we have Rosie's Italian quite often.
And that's it for the first warm-up round.
All right, very good.
Feeling good?
I am.
All right. If you could describe the University of Cincinnati's personality in 3 words, what would they be?
Industrial, and I say that in a, it is a very practical university with co-op being at our core, but very in a complementary way. I mean, we really do, as they say in the digital futures, they talk about solving problems that matter. And I think a lot of times in academia, we look at solving, just any problem that interests us, but we really do not only solve problems that matter, but we prepare students for the real world and give them really functional, fundamental information.
Wow. That's awesome. What inspired you to pursue a career in higher education?
So I've never been a big planner of my career.
Yeah.
I take advantage of what comes along. I love school. So when I was at the University of Wisconsin, I thought I may never be at a university again, so I'm going to take as many classes as possible. So I spent 6 years there. And then at the end of that, I'm like, oh, maybe I should go to graduate school. And then at the end of that, I'm like, maybe I should be a professor because I just love university. So I always just kind of looked at that next challenge and enjoyed the moment. And before you know it, I'm
Here you are. Again, kind of similar vein, what motivated you to step up from being the Dean of Engineering to becoming the interim provost here at UC?
I loved being the Dean of Engineering. To me, that was the ideal job, and I really enjoyed leading the college. Again, co-op is so fundamental. I co-opted as an undergraduate. I saw how profound an influence that had on my career and my thinking. So I didn't really have a thought of moving up. But President Pinto, who's also a chemical engineer, as am I, we work very well together. And when he asked me to step up, I wanted to say,
yeah, you can't say no to that. Kind of talking about being an interim provost, what's a day-to-day life like as a provost? Essentially, what does a provost do?
Well, that's a good question. That is a tough leadership position to describe at a university. I mean, I think most people understand department heads. They run departments.
Yep.
Deans run colleges. Presidents run universities. Well, there's nothing in the middle of that. So what does a provost do? So I look as a provost as a facilitator among the deans. So the provost is the chief academic officer, if you will, of the university. So all the academics fall under that. And of course, most of the academics are within colleges. So my role is to serve the deans, to give them the resources they need to be successful. And it's been a lot of fun. The deans at UC are fabulous. And I'm really looking forward to joining you in these interviews because we're going to learn a lot about what makes them tick.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. Our next section here is kind of about you as a student and then your interactions with students. Speaking of, what were you like as a college student?
As I said, I did co-op as an undergraduate. So one of the things that made it difficult when you're at a university that doesn't have co-op is all the students that I would hang out with were always getting a semester ahead of me, a year ahead of me, 2 years ahead of me. So that made it difficult to really form good study groups and so on. But I did have a core of friends that I met freshman year in the dorms. We did have a lot of fun, which I won't talk about on the podcast. But we've remained friends for a long time.
Were those friends also doing the co-op with you and kind of following you on that journey, or?
No, actually, most of the friends I had were non-engineers, which I always found that as a relief. Now the downside is they didn't have to study and they'd go to bars.
And while you were studying,
library. But other than that, they brought a different perspective. It was kind of a relief to get that out of your mind. You knew you couldn't talk shop because
nobody would understand you. Right? Yeah, that's awesome. Would you have imagined yourself in this role when you were a student?
No. And again, I didn't think too far ahead. But even when I was in graduate school, I didn't really think of being a professor. I thought,
What's next?
yeah, what's next? What would I do? I did look up to professors and what they knew and how they specialized in and a bit of an awe of that. So the thought of being able to do that was not part of the process. When I became a professor, I loved the classroom. I loved my research. I never think of going into leadership roles, but as I progressed in the various stages, you just learn to appreciate the greater the impact that you can have as a professor, as a department head, as a dean, as a provost. It just keeps getting more and more influence, and that's exciting.
Yeah, that's really exciting. What's a class or experience at UC that you think every student should have?
Well, besides co-op, everyone should have a co-op. So
Yeah.
say that in engineering, fortunately, that's the case. But everyone should be heavily involved in student organizations. It is so critical to get outside of that, outside the classroom experience, take on leadership roles, find out what really you're passionate about outside of the textbooks. You have to do that.
Yeah, kind of give you that outside the classroom experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's a lesson that you've learned from UC students?
Oh, I mean, they amaze me all the time in the level of activity that they get involved in. And so as much as I think we have to remind students to get involved, most of the students that I've interacted with are very involved, whether it's tribunal, organizing the career fair, doing the expo, the amount of work they do in classes, the co-ops, the leadership roles. It really does remind me that maybe I didn't take advantage of college like I should have.
I mean, being in Bearcast for me is just kind of like, I surprise myself sometimes. I'm like, how do I even have enough hours in the day to be juggling 4 things at once? So
this is when you do it, right?
Yeah.
When you're young enough and you can, who needs sleep?
yeah, exactly. You can afford the loss of sleep. And then kind of speaking on UC students, what advice do you have for students like me or students in the engineering department or just students as a whole?
Well, try as many experiences as possible. And so that's why I think a co-op is so valuable, because you do get an opportunity to try work for a big company, work for a small company, work in whatever role there might be. If you have multiple opportunities and you see what is it that you like, where do you fit? I often reflect on what I valued the most about co-op, other than the work experience, was really realizing that I did not want to be in a manufacturing environment as much as I enjoyed my co-op. I don't think I would have realized that otherwise. So the more experiences you can have, even if you think, I don't want to do that, just do it. You never know. You'll be surprised, or it'll solidify. Yeah, no,
That's not what I wanted to do. Yeah.
And you can risk 3 months, 6 months, a year doing something. It's better than 4 or 5 years
Doing
on a
something you
job
don't
and
like.
realize, oh man,
Yeah.
I don't like this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kind of in the same vein, though, as a student, you studied at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and earned your master's degree in chemical engineering at North Carolina State. What motivated you to pursue such a challenging degree, such as chemical engineering, while being a first-generation student?
Yeah, I mean, ignorance is bliss. I didn't know. I was told by my teachers in high school, I enjoyed chemistry, I loved math, and they said, maybe you should be a chemical engineer. Okay. No idea what that was.
Yeah.
So I went to Madison. After I was there, I learned that they were one of the top chemical engineering programs in the country.
Wow. After we were there?
Well, yeah, I kind of fell into that. There's a lot of famous book publishers from some of the foundational textbooks that came out of Wisconsin. So it was really a wonderful learning experience. Then, another real thoughtful decision was to go to NC State. I was looking at schools. I got on a plane out of Madison in March, and it was snowy and miserable and icy and cold. And I get off the plane in Raleigh, North Carolina, and everyone's in shorts and trees are in bloom. And I'm like, sign me up. I need the weather to be warm. So yes, that was about as much thought I put into it, but it was a wonderful decision. The Carolinas were beautiful. Enjoyed it a lot.
That's awesome. Before coming to Cincinnati, you worked at the University of South Carolina for over 28 years.
That's right.
Working your way up from an assistant professor to being the chair of the Department of Chemical Engineering. Besides becoming the dean of the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences, what encouraged you to come to Cincinnati?
Yeah, so as I said, I loved being a professor, and I loved what I was doing there, and I was perfectly happy at South Carolina, and I could have stayed there my whole career. This opportunity came up. I, quite frankly, didn't know a lot about Cincinnati or the University of Cincinnati, but I did know about their co-op program. And again, I was a co-op. I preached that as a faculty member at South Carolina, making sure students took advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah.
So it was very intriguing. And so I applied. It was a good transition. Our kids were graduating. And so it was an opportunity
Kind of take that next step.
take that next step. And I visited, once again, met President Pinto. I'm very inspired by his vision of what he saw UC could be, and that an urban campus was really on the rise. And it's been even greater than I thought. So I'm very fortunate I made the move.
That's awesome. You know, as mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, you were recently named interim provost for UC last month. How has your first month been as provost, and how has it been different than being a dean?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy month, and I don't know if it's been typical of what the job is going to be like.
Yeah.
July 1st is our new budget year, so fiscal year starts July 1st. So the month of June was a lot of budget decisions and trying to get our financial year 2026, which is started yesterday, in shape. So that was, that's now done.
Yeah.
Not that the budget's done, but there was a lot of work on that.
Yeah.
There was also a board of trustees meeting at the end of June, so there's a lot of prep for that. Once again, that's behind me. So between the budget and the board of trustees, there was a lot of work that had to go in those first four weeks that I was on the job. Now it's transitioning to the school year, and so I think once we get into August, I'll have a much better feel for what does it really mean
To be a provost.
to be a provost.
Yeah.
But as I said earlier, it really is working with the deans, and I do know what the deans do at UC. So I do have the advantage of one, being a dean and know my way around UC. So I'm looking forward to working with the deans and
kind of have that experience in the back end to help on the front end.
right. So hopefully I know what they need and how I can help them move forward.
That's awesome. You have dozens of publications that have been cited hundreds of times, with some of the top ones relating to your work with nickel battery systems and electrochemical capacitors. Is there an article or publication that you have created that you believe deserves to be cited more often than it has been?
Yeah, it's kind of like a child. You kind of cherish all of them. I think early on in a lot of the nickel battery work, which was that was kind of the go-to battery in the 90s. I got to work with the Jet Propulsion Lab in California.
Wow.
And those publications just have a lot of memories because we did a lot of work with that group. I spent the summer out there, met a lot of great people. So even though that, maybe scientifically groundbreaking, maybe not as much, but there's a lot of memories with that. The later ones and more of the recent work, and we actually did get a grant last year from the Department of Energy, it's working on new battery systems, specifically in this case, lithium sulfur batteries. And that, I think, is probably the best work I've done over the past 10 years, is modeling around that kind of a system. And not to get too much in the weeds, but my work is on the mathematical modeling of battery systems. And one of the things that some of these new chemistries involve is a lot of volume change that occurs when the battery is charging and discharging. That's never been accounted for before. And so we've written some, which I think is some pretty groundbreaking papers in that area. So scientifically, I'd say the more recent ones on battery modeling.
Wow.
I've been proud of. Yep.
Wow, very cool. Well, thank you to the interim provost, John Weiner, for taking the time to chat with me today. I'm excited to interview the deans of the University of Cincinnati with you. We would also like to thank Drew as well as Bearcast Media for their support. Talk soon.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited.